Next up in the program we have another growth story. This time we have Tatu Aalto, who is going to explain how he has been grown from a robot framework user to, well, SeleniumLibrary maintainer. Thank you, Tatu.
Yeah, thanks, Ed. Yeah, I am the currently SeleniumLibrary maintainer, which used to be named Selenium 2 library. And I have to confess to make it is not 10 years, it's 8 years, but it's close enough. And yeah, it works. But before I came to know the Selenium, or know the robot framework itself, I was a tester for about 10 years. I started studying testers in a company when they put me testing stuff, and I know that I started with mainframes there, and I wish that I had a mainframe library back then, but robot framework didn't exist in the early 2000s. But before I changed the robot framework, I was kind of like technical testers. They sent me to do installations over the world database. I was maintaining our test environment, and I was installing a bunch of stuff, and also testing when I had a free slot, which usually makes my manager mad, because I didn't have enough time to do testing in his opinion. But which I didn't have any, I was writing scripts, but I didn't have any real test automation experience. I didn't know what test automation actually is. Running all those scripts required a lot of human work somewhere in the middle or somewhere in the end, and looking at results. So it was halfway automatic or halfway test automation or writing tools and that kind of stuff. So when I found robot framework was when I moved to work to around 2011, and I was the first tester that they ever hired. And the first thing I got that you have to do test automation, you have to find us a framework, and the requirement that must work with Python and it must work with Java. And I look around, I write 2-3 mocks, and then we together select a robot framework just by a chance. And at the same time, we were building a new product at Anywhere. We were building a product that helped the ships, like those container ships or cruise ships, to arrive in the port in the right time, plus minus 5 minutes, crossing the Atlantic. That's a really difficult job. And basically what they do, they did that, they integrated ship systems, the engine systems, whatever, lights, electricity, and they pull up all that data, they crunch it, they build models, and then it's a really simple UI. They show a traffic light. If you arrive at the right time, it's green. If you're a little bit late or too early, it shows you yellow, and if you're way off, it's red. Really simple UI. User just looks at it, makes adjustments to the RPM of the propeller, and inputs a few things like how many engines the ship actually has, and where you actually are going, and where you're starting. And it was running in a web browser, and even though it was a closed system, it did run in a web browser. So I choose which one I did choose. Was it SeleniumLibrary or Selenium 2 library? Not anymore, long time ago. And when I was doing that, thinking at the same time, I was thinking also that how should I build this automation? And the UI was simple. There was maximum like 4 different screens, and I think that there was less than 15 or 20 buttons to press. And we built it on top of the Selenium library. I first built each page had this kind of set this value in this field. Press that button in that page. Press something else in some other page. Each page was their own resource file. And then on top of those small set and get type of keywords, I built these bigger action keywords like enter fuel prices, enter the route or the voyage of the ship, and start the voyage and that kind of stuff. So, and those I did use to build my test cases. And also within my team, I was really happy or really in a good place. I didn't realize it back then, but they helped me a lot. They helped me a lot to build those testability. They helped me build that box in the down, it says scripting and tooling. They built all that stuff for me. They built me simulators that I can feed the data to the system so that I can actually test the data. They built me stuff that helped me install the product on the box somewhere in the machine room. They helped me, I don't even remember, but I didn't quite realize, but looking back, I know that getting help from my team in that workplace, helping me to do my job and me helping them to build the product was actually, it was like a really good feeling to be placed. And even though it involved some complex calculation, it was really fun to do and really enjoyable to do. And in the end of that voyage, that 3-4 years voyage with the Enneagram, I think in total I was about 30 keywords maximum, something between 25 and 30. It was not a big product, but all the things that I needed to do can be done with those 30 keywords. Not a big number. I don't unfortunately number or remember how many test cases I did actually have, but it was bigger than 20, but less than 50. There was quite a lot of big setup to be done to select the data for example, for the simulator, so that I can have a good weight and there's no gaps in the data which cause problems in the simulator and that kind of stuff. And the best thing about remembering the team really helped me to build the stuff. They enjoyed having somebody else do the testing, but they also helped me to do the testing, and they helped and they enjoyed about the results that I got. So it was a good learning experience, and it was a great place to be working. At least at that time, I don't know anymore. I left 2015, and I became a test architect at CRF Health. And CRF Health was a big company, Engram was a small company, 50 people. CRF Health was 500, and it's growing. And it was like in previously I was testing Notepad, but now I was moving like this big office family. They had stuff running in multiple different web browsers. They had a mobile application. They had stuff running in the Windows desktop package. They had a backends. They had lots of different kind of stuff. And again, in my career, I moved to a place where they didn't have test automation. They had a bunch of testers. They had great testers that were doing lots of manual testing. And they made a release once a year, or twice, 2 years. They had a little bit of unit test, but they didn't run automatically, which is kind of exclusive that they don't have unit testing. And I started to do the same thing, which worked very well in Enneagram. I had a bunch of libraries. I built a lot of different kind of small libraries. I built a lot of scripting. I built same kind of set and get type of keywords, but for each page in the different application, but there was a lot of pages. The application was really complex, and I built those action type of keywords. Do me a login, create me a user, add me a role, do that kind of stuff. And which I did add also that, because based on those action types of keywords, it's really hard to build a test case. It helped them to start the testing and finish the testing and do the setup and that kind of thing. It's really hard with those action type of keywords. It's really hard to actually do the testing. And so I allowed them to do, or we discovered that let's build those list resources that kind of mocks given when style all those action type of keywords, and they can build their own keywords that helps them to do the actions that they want and validate the different things from the UI which they wanted to do. But it led to failure. I think I did solve some colleagues that helped me to do that failure, but not discuss any names. It was a really big UI and many different kind of products, and you need a lot of stuff to get the testing working. And I think it was early 2016, so late 2015, and I realized that the model that I built was not going to fly. We did count the keywords. We counted only the set and get keywords and the action keywords. And we ended a number that was between 2,500 or 3,000 different kind of keywords. And I was not counting the keywords that came from the library. So something had to be done. And it was for the users really hard to find the right keyword, use the right keyword. It was really hard to make changes when the product changes, because that kind of finding or discovery or automatic refactoring, it doesn't work very well in Robot Framework because of the just lack the support. Can we have it, Pekka? Sometime near future? And also the other thing that I kind of slap in the face, that because everything in the Robot Framework data is global, that if you have a common thing like a shuttle or list or something, tables, that you want to share between multiple resources, that kind of all those imports are global and kind of builds up and disturbs the user to use. And we made a new plan. We looked around on how other companies are doing, and I think we used some consulting companies to share us the knowledge that what would be the better way to do this kind of big, large enterprise type of application. And we made a new plan. The new plan was less keywords. And like still have those action type of keywords, but build them in Python. Get rid of all the set and get type of keywords in the Robot Framework data. But still, we know that the user, based on the action type of keywords, the user cannot really do the testing those small tiny things on a page. They are not good enough for that kind of purpose. So we still allow them to access different kind of libraries and those kind of, so that they can actually do the verification or do small things in their test which they needed to do, which then also lead to failure. But a different kind of area. It was better. There was less maintenance. I had actually tests for my libraries, better tests, better unit tests, more acceptance. So making changes in the library, I feel more safe here, and it helped. And it solved like a lot of timing issues or flakiness of the tests. But it didn't solve the original problem, having too many keywords, quite well. What I discovered, what my testers were doing, that because they didn't have any more access to those small setter and getters, they curated those small and getters by themselves in the resource level and shared them with nobody. They were used by a single test. And same kind of setters and getters were created for multiple tests in multiple resources. So it led kind of different kind of a maintenance nightmare when the product changed and stuff changed. And making that transition from Robot Framework libraries was hard. Yeah, I admit. I had to do it in small pieces, a lot of deprecation, a lot of knowledge sharing, a lot of this and that, but it's still doable. And people were more happier because it removed the problem, that flakiness problem, pretty much completely. But it wasn't quite good enough. It wasn't in the way that I would like to go. So again, we look around how people are building their libraries and look a little bit deeper at what would be better for our use case. And we did have at the same time, we did have a mobile app. I think they still have a mobile app or have multiple mobile apps. And at the same time, they were rewriting the mobile application. They changed the mobile provider from something to something, I don't even remember which caused that they had to rewrite the whole application. What they used to be done by themselves was done then by the mobile manufacturer. And at the same time, we were dealing with this how to improve the testing, how to enable do testing better, faster, and remove all the problems that too many keywords. And we came with this kind of a plan that we have test cases, and then we have a library. And the library, I aimed for 10 keywords. I think I landed somewhere between 50 and 20 keywords, and I did hide all the complexity inside of the single keyword. There was a keyword called go to or start, or I think it was go to. And it was, you tell them where you want to go and which user you want to go to there. You want to go as a root user, you want to go to something else user. And if the user, the library didn't know, did the user exist? Was that user already created? If it didn't, it go in the same keyword. It started the mobile application. It created the user, made the default password changed. And then it logged in as the user. And it went to the place where the user wanted. So it did do a lot of setups for the user automatically. It was a long class, or actually multiple classes. There was a class for installation build, there was a class for the user creation, there was a class for the going somewhere, and a bunch of other stuff that I needed. But in the same time, it made the testing for the manual testers really easy. All they needed to do, that if new page appeared in the application, they could do it by looking at the previous examples. For example, if there was a user and then you could go to user details, they could do that change by themselves. But usually they asked me, and I was working with that team that made that change for the application. I made those changes for the application. And it made the testing easy. They say, this user, go there. And then I had a click button, select from the drop down, verify that something is in page. And there was a resistance in the team that this can't work. It makes we are abandoning the given when then statement. It makes the test case very uncomfortable. But after creating a few test cases and demoing that stuff with them, they felt that this is the best thing in the world. And when I was developing the library, or was it just before? It must be just before. I also came with the SeleniumLibrary lead developer. Becky asked me, thanks for the burden. And I proudly copy-paste the architecture that SeleniumLibrary has. And it uses the same kind of model that SeleniumLibrary currently has. It uses the dynamic library interface that there is. The modules or pages or objects or classes are independent in the same way in the SeleniumLibrary. And it makes them easy to test. You can mock the WebDriver interface quite easily with a single mock. Then everything is independent, quite independent. It makes the unit testing really easy and smooth. That's right in the SeleniumLibrary. Proudly copy. Sorry about that. And then making changes to the library was really easy. And I remember when we did change what was it we changed? We changed the model, and at the same time the phone operating system changed from, was it 6 to 7 or whatever. And anything that I had to change was in the library. I had to change a little bit how the installation of the application works. And that's it. I think I spent 2 days doing that, and then all the rest of the test cases worked just fine. In the past, that was a huge error. That was like at least 2 sprints worth of work with the 2 or 3 people. And in one point, I did actually stop making new keywords. Nobody asked me to do anything. I could do testing also, which was great. Because I still think I'm a tester. I think some of my colleagues think otherwise. But it was the only thing that I need to do, that sometimes phone breaks, I need to do maintenance, or the operating system upgrade, and a little bit maintenance work there. And I could do testing. And it was quite happy, but it was for the phone Android application also. And it did work quite nicely. I know I have asked I did see them before the Christmas, and they are still using that model. But I did left about a year ago in F-Secure, and they are still using that model, and they're quite happy. I don't know what else they have done, but what I've heard, they're still quite happy with the library that I write. They are happy to maintain it, they are happy to use it, and it works very well for them. At least if they don't like it. Is there anybody else from CRF here? No. So I can say that it works very well. Thank you. And then I did move to F-Secure, where we are not using, or my team is not using rubber paper. We're doing testing with nodes and with the Windows desktop application. And I still like to maintain the Selenium library because you are a great community. I do it for you. I do it because I enjoy doing stuff with you. And I still want to do it. So when you see me in the hallways, grab me from the hand and ask that if you have a need, that let's see, can we do it together? And I'm here for tomorrow for the sprints, so we can do there something together. And last slide. Do you have questions? Thank you.
Rene is giving the catchbox, so at that time I'm thanking Tatu already now and give Tatu's hoodie. So thanks for a great presentation. And thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. You were a great crowd. Girls.
Hello.
Hi.
Selenium 4 is coming. Will there be any major changes to Selenium library?
Well, good question. There was, I think it was previous Selenium India conference where one of the Selenium lead developers was presenting, and he was saying that Selenium 4 is backwards compatible with Selenium 3. So I trust his word. I don't know anything else. At least, well, they mainly do, what was it? The Selenium IDE is coming back, or has it already come back? I don't use it, I don't follow it. They plan to do changes on the grid, Selenium grid. They plan to rewrite it, they plan to do some documentation changes there. I think Selenium 4 is coming out when they are compatible with the WebDriver standard specification. I don't see. At least they did say that they're not going to change the API. What has been changing quite a lot is, under the hood, is the WebDriver specification implementation with the different browser vendors, drivers, and because of that, there has been some work for how they open browsers. They have moving away from the desired capabilities to, I think Selenium, they call them options that can provide more. Perhaps that is a thing that we could also look, but that interface seems to be a little bit changing quite a lot. So I don't yet feel comfortable introducing those options to the Selenium library. But you can always use the WebDriver and provide options that or the create WebDriver keyword and do whatever you want. Or you build your own keyword.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you have some idea for this kind of question? When you're using Selenium library, for example, wait for until element is visible. And then this UI has, for example, some footer or header, and it and you set to focus to element that it comes to visible. But this footer or header is top of it, so it's not, there's under this header or footer, for example, button. You cannot click, okay, I have a workaround keyword for that, but would it be possible to some point to implement this kind of that wait until element is clickable, or you know what I mean?
There actually are ways to do that. We discussed this in yesterday's workshop when we had this, that Selenium library provides you the access to the standard HTML elements on the page, that what the browser controls. But a lot of stuff nowadays happens with the JavaScript running in the background. And there are a bunch of extensions. Which are you using? React or Angular or something like that? Or something. React. Okay, there was a library built on top of React that helps you to better control the state of the application. There is a way to pull out of your application that is the page ready, all the animations and translations done, and then do the actions that you. Jani, are you somewhere here, or are you actually working with somewhere with CD? Jani had a nice demo. He had built a library that is a generic approach, which is built on top of the Selenium library, and it had a nice ways that you can actually mostly abandon the wait keywords, and you can do page should contain or click elements and do stuff. It does the automatically polling for you automatically. He is not here. He would be a nice person to explain how that stuff works. But look for extensions. Look what you have, how your application is built, and how to queue the state of the application out of that. And use a library on top of the Selenium library to build, help you to use automation. Ed, you did similar thing for the. Yeah, you guys go talk how to do that stuff. Yeah.
I have a question, Box. Andrea Machine in Imbus, Germany. Thank you for a great keynote. I have a question about these different ways that you explained, finding a good path, and finally, so the solution was the reducing amount of keywords and moving all of them to the library, so away from the robot framework. And my question is, how do you decide? Imagine you are just automating a new great test case, and you say, well, I would definitely need a new keyword now. How do you say, no, I'm not doing it, and how you are making a workaround for this situation?
Well, I didn't know either. I learned, by the way, I was 3 years in that CRF company, and I changed 3 times every year how to do automation. And I feel that it's almost impossible to see beforehand, is this keyword something that is specific for this case, or is it something that can be used by a wider audience? You see that beforehand. If there is a usage for that kind of stuff somewhere else, how people are using your keyword, importing and using, then, well, perhaps this is a generic keyword. Now it's time to move it to somewhere else. You see that at least I cannot see beforehand which is generic keyword enough to be used. And perhaps I have an idea that it will fit for this specific purpose, like that tile in the ground that it will go. But next experiment on a round shape thing, and you have to fiddle it, and perhaps that is the time to move it somewhere else. But for me, the sheer amount of keywords, because the application was really enterprise-sized application, I need to do something with the keyword amount. Something that will fit in the user's heads. That they actually didn't. When I was working with CRF, I did build a plugin for the Sublime text just to ease the keyword composition, just to find the right keyword. It has an indexing in a lot of databases that you can. This resource or this test has imported those things. It has availability only for those keywords. But when I moved to those lesser keyword model, they didn't want to use that. Or they did use, but they didn't actually need the auto completion anymore. They could be fine with a notepad. But of course, this depends on the size of the application. Like we learned from the environment, it's a smallish, medium-sized application, having everything robot framework data, using Selenium library and the extension on top of it. It's just fine. It depends on there's no silver bullet. Doing that way might be the wrong way for you. It also depends on your skill level.
Okay, thanks Tatu for great presentation. If you have further questions, there's next lunch break and you can find him. After the break, we are going to have case examples. So thanks now for Tatu and Juho for kind of user stories, user growth stories.